following is a presentation of Showtime Sports.
In the competitive world of the cage, winning provides only a momentary peace. For after every victory, a new rival emerges. Welterweight champion Nick Diaz has steadily earned a reputation as an unstoppable all-around fighter. Now he must prove his worth again against powerful striker Evangelista Cyborg. It's over! Cyborg wins! Despite basking in a meteoric rise to fame, Jacare Souza's reign as middleweight champion could disappear in an instant before the devastating power of ruthless Robbie Lawler. Here's overhand right by Lawler ends the fight! And two fighters whose very names have made them targets. Roger Gracie defends his perfect record and family reputation, while renowned athlete Herschel Walker hopes to replicate his success in the world's most merciless sport. Champion or contender, legacy or newcomer, they all must test themselves once again in the unforgiving Strikeforce cage. The HP Pavilion in San Jose, California has played host to some of the most memorable fights in Strikeforce history. And tonight, the Shark Tank is home to what should be another stellar night of mixed martial arts on Showtime. Hello, I'm Mauro Ranallo. 2011 promises to be the biggest year in Strikeforce history, led by the much-anticipated 8-man single elimination heavyweight Grand Prix tournament, which gets underway next month. As for tonight, you're going to be treated to a World Championship doubleheader. And someone who knows all about titles, the legend Frank Shamrock, joins me and Frank in our main event. Nick Diaz makes the second defense of his welterweight crown against Evangelista Cyborg.
But Mauro, when you talk about Nick Diaz, you're talking about the man who sent me into retirement. He is showing all of us what 21st century mixed martial arts is all about. And after being inside the cage with him, there is little doubt in my mind that he possesses the best skill set in this sport. And his strange charisma has endeared him to the hardcore MMA community. But in 2011, I predict Nick Diaz will become a mainstream superstar. Of course, a Cyborg knee, kick, or punch could change all of that. A vicious striker whose countenance gives him a psychological edge over most of his opponents, Cyborg will attempt to join his wife Chris and become the 9th champion from the legendary Shoot the Box Academy in Brazil. Nick Diaz's keys to the cage are using that rapid-fire aggressive punching to blind and confuse Cyborg. This should force him to shoot, and if he does, bam! That's what we're looking for. Stunning blows that knock him down like he did to KJ Noons. And if he can knock him down early, Nick Diaz promises to finish him in dramatic fashion. And the keys for Evangelista Cyborg are to use his dangerous Muay Thai kicks to the head and leg and slow Diaz down to make this fight a brawl. And if he can get on top of Nick Diaz, the ground and pound of Cyborg is deadly. If he gets on top, I predict he wins.
Another former MMA champion who's produced a plethora of top dogs in his camp in Bettendorf, Iowa is Pat Miletich. The middleweight title up for grabs tonight. Slick submission specialist Jacare Souza puts the belt on the line for the first time against someone you're very familiar with in ruthless Robbie Lawler.
I certainly do, Mauro. And the Strikeforce middleweight division is a deep and talented one, starting with the two men fighting for the title tonight, Jacare Souza and Robbie Lawler. Add to the mix the tough Tim Kennedy, the unpredictable Mayhem Miller, and rising star Luke Rockhold, and quality matchups are sure to happen. Plus, you can't forget current movie star and former Strikeforce champion Kung Lee. That's a great list of fighters, but it's all about Jacare and Lawler tonight. Let's go to the keys of the cage for Jacare Souza. Souza needs to understand he cannot stand in punching range, needs to use his kicks, stay on the outside. That will also disrupt Robbie Lawler's timing and his base for his punches. When in punching range, he needs to tie Lawler up, put him against the cage, close the gap, and try and wear Lawler's punching muscles out. He also needs to set up his takedowns with punches. That's the only time he wants to exchange with Lawler. Now for ruthless Robbie Lawler, Lawler needs that low athletic stance to help him stuff those takedowns, have his hips ready to sprawl and brawl. Very important for Lawler to do that. Also, Lawler using his uppercuts, his hooks, and when he's in tight, using his knees. That often intimidates grapplers from wanting to shoot in on your legs. This is not your average matchup between striker and grappler. Both these guys are very explosive, Morrow.
All right, guys, definitely looking forward to your insights as always tonight. Headlined by two great championship fights at the top of our card. And coming in February, Strikeforce is going to kick off its much-anticipated World Grand Prix Heavyweight Tournament. And that event leads us to our text message poll question. What division would you like to see Strikeforce stage their next tournament? Text 1 for lightweight, text 2 for welterweight, text 3 for middleweight, and text 4 for light heavyweight. Send your response to us here at SHOWZ. That's 74699. Standard text messaging rates apply. Well, while we're all pumped about the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix coming next month, first thing is first with 4 bouts coming your way tonight. In the main event, the mercurial Nick Diaz looks to extend his 8-fight win streak as he defends the Strikeforce welterweight title against the always dangerous Evangelista Cyborg. Submission magician Jacare Souza defends the Strikeforce middleweight championship against knockout artist ruthless Robbie Lawler. Tonight marks the return of the cage of the fearless phenom Herschel Walker, who has never met a challenge he did not embrace. He takes on the 4-1 Scott Carson in heavyweight competition. And we're going to kick off tonight's event with a light heavyweight tilt between the undefeated grappling guru Roger Gracie and crafty veteran Trevor Prangley. Right now it's time to turn things over to the maestro of the microphone, cage announcer Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the HP Pavilion here in San Jose, California, as Strikeforce and Showtime present a big night of MMA, brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. Bigger, better, faster, stronger, party like a rock star. And now, please welcome to the cage, with a record of 23 wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw, fighting out of San Jose, California, introducing MMA's accomplished South African veteran, Trevor Prangley.
Trevor Prangley, a former South African wrestling champion who wants to prove that he still has plenty of fighting fuel in his 38-year-old tank. He's coming off a hard-fought split decision win over UFC veteran Keith Jardine, but he really is looking forward to atone for his last performance in a Strikeforce cage when he was submitted by middleweight contender Tim Kennedy last June in Los Angeles. A veteran of 30 pro MMA bouts, he holds a huge experience advantage over his opponent tonight.
Yes, he does, and he's actually quite offended at all the attention Gracie's getting because of his name with only 3 fights.
He's got fights under his belt, but you know what he's got to do is key in the cage on this one. He's got to stick and move on Gracie, because you know what, Gracie is such a grappler. If he gets his hands on him, if he gets him in a clinch, if he wraps him up at all, look for a submission to come right away.
Trevor Prangley training out of the vaunted American Kickboxing Academy in San Jose, and well represented tonight, of course, as Herschel Walker is coming up. He also makes his training camp home at AKA in California.
And now, here is one of the world's great submission masters with an MMA record of 3 wins, no losses. All 3 wins coming by way of submission, fighting out of London by way of Rio de Janeiro. Please welcome the golden child of MMA's first family, introducing Roger Gracie.
With the surname Gracie, it is a given that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu courses through your veins, and Roger Gracie is no different. He is the grandson of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu founder Carlos Gracie, and this MMA neophyte's grappling pedigree, second to none, with an unprecedented 10 world BJJ titles. And an interesting side note, he and Strikeforce middleweight champion Jacare, who was set to defend the title against Robbie Lawler later tonight, have met 5 times on the grappling circuit. Gracie holds the edge 3-2. Many of their matchups on the grappling circuit considered some of the best Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu the world
world's ever seen.
Absolutely, and Gracie right now, Roger Gracie is considered the #1 guy in the world. Even though he's lost 2 to Jacare, he still holds the lead in that. Guy is the best in the world on the ground.
Well, if he wants to keep going as that guy, he's got to get this fight to the ground. He can't mess around in the stand-up. He can't throw punches. He needs to punch, kick right into a takedown or a clinch and close the distance right away.
Of course, we have to toss the name of Marcelo Garcia into the mix as well as one of the top grapplers in the world. But Roger Gracie, of course, looking to improve to 4-0 here tonight. And it's interesting because in one of those fights against Jacare, Jacare suffered a broken arm and was able to still defeat Gracie. So imagine what would happen if these two guys met in an MMA bout. It may one day happen, you never know. Let's go to the tail of the tape now for this opening contest, which will be contested in the Strikeforce light heavyweight division.
Roger Gracie, 9 years younger, he's 3.5 inches taller, and he's got a good reach. Most likely he's going to use his jab, keep Prangley back a little bit, and then tie him up with those long arms.
All right, let's go to the rules for tonight's fights. 3 judges representing the California State Athletic Commission will score each bout using the 10-point must system. The winner of each round gets 10 points. The loser 9 or less. Scoring is based on effective striking, grappling, aggression, and cage control. In California, the doctor or the referee can stop the fight. There are no kicks, knees, elbows, or forearm strikes to the head of a grounded opponent. Tonight's 2 championship fights are scheduled for 5 5-minute rounds, while the other 2 tilts on tonight's main card will be contested over 3 5-minute rounds.
All right, fans, here we go. Light heavyweights in the cage, scheduled 3 5-minute rounds. And our referee in charge, Josh Rosenthal.
Gentlemen, you ready? You ready? Let's fight!
Sign of respect.
Prangley in the blue gloves, Gracie in the red. They share one common opponent, Pancrase veteran Yuki Kondo. Not surprisingly, Gracie submitted him via rear naked choke, while Prangley defeated him via form of knockout.
Gracie's looking a lot more relaxed than I thought he'd be on that stand-up.
Yeah, he looks focused. He looks like he's got a little bit of rhythm moving, doesn't he, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, he's a little stiff and long, but I think he's a long guy anyways. He looks very surprised at the comfort of his shoulders right now.
In preparation for this bout, Gracie did work with UFC welterweight champion George St. Pierre on working on using strikes to set up takedowns. Not necessarily working on the striking aspect, but what he can do to set up the takedowns using the strikes, and probably will be something to look for in this fight.
Absolutely.
First punch was from Trevor. It barely touched him. There's that height of Gracie coming in. That's going to be hard to get up there and hit him.
Prangley, I think, needs to move his head, slide on the inside, make Gracie miss with a punch, and then throw.
Look how Gracie's got that shoulder up like a boxer. That's real nice. That left shoulder push forward, real clean stance. I like that inside kick he was doing to Prangley. I think he should go back to that.
Well, he's doing a good job with the jab. He's using a few fakes and feints. Needs to do a little bit more of that, keep Prangley guessing.
Prangley was very relaxed at the fighter meeting, showcasing his sense of humor, saying he knows all about Gracie's submission skills. He says he has a glass neck, so he's going to try to avoid the chokes in this fight. And already, Gracie now standing arm triangle, perhaps looking to clinch up with Prangley. A couple of Muay Thai knee strikes.
Prangley was smiling at him after that.
Takedown by Gracie.
Beautiful trip.
Prangley has got to start popping them hips. He's got to fight to get up. If he stays on the ground, it's a bad night.
Prangley rated the training camp for this fight an 8 out of 10. He sparred with the 6'3.5" Kyle Kingsbury to replicate Gracie's size. Also worked submissions with Luca Rockhold, a Strikeforce middleweight who has been on the shelf due to injury, who we expect to return hopefully in March in Columbus, Ohio.
Look at how Gracie's controlling Prangley's legs. He's trying to tighten in on him, squeeze him, and pinch him. Prangley can't move his hips. Now he's trying to pull that post arm out from underneath Prangley to get him down. It's a gradual thing. If you move too quick, your opponent jumps up to his feet, wall walks right up, and you lose him. Gracie's just inching along.
Gracie mentioned that he would like to fight 2 to 3 times per year. The last time we saw him was in his Strikeforce debut against Kevin Randleman last May when he defeated the former UFC heavyweight champion via rear naked choke. He's also still very active on the grappling circuit. And Pat, I'm wondering, can you do both if you want to be a world-class mixed martial artist?
I think it only helps you. I mean, I know a lot of guys that have competed in kickboxing matches, boxing matches, and grappling matches. They'll even go to wrestling tournaments just to keep themselves sharp.
Very bad position right here. The mount. Arm bar is already set up for a side. Oh, he doesn't have the arm across. Oh, good.
Minute and a half remaining in the opening round. A position that Trevor Prangley most definitely does not want to be in against a guy with the grappling pedigree of Roger Gracie, but Prangley, the veteran, using the cage for his feet, and now Prangley going for that rear naked choke, looking to test that glass neck of Prangley, as Prangley so eloquently put it.
We did that nice bridge off the cage, and I thought he was getting out, but Gracie just threw his hips right around, put him in bad position.
Amazing hip control by Gracie. He spun around him. It was incredible.
And very methodical, very patient.
Now he's got the figure 4 leg lock on the body.
Body triangle.
The body triangle was outlawed in wrestling because it suffocates people.
Right, I was going to say, you know how that feels. That literally sucks the life out of you.
And Roger Gracie submits. Trevor Prangley picks up his 3rd consecutive win via Mataleo, a.k.a. rear naked choke. And the Gracie family member is 4-0 as a mixed martial artist. His cousin, Enzo Gracie, in to celebrate with Roger. Picks up the rear naked choke victory at 4:19 of the opening round.
Well, here's where he got him into trouble, and I thought Prangley had bridged himself out, but look at Gracie just throw his legs around him and stay attached to him as he spun around, ended up on his back in a beautiful figure 4 position. I thought, Pat, once he was here, he wasn't getting out. And here he's got him locked. He's working his chin up. He's just slowly sinking himself into position. You can see it right there. As soon as his arm went underneath his chin, he's got the other arm locked. There's 0 space. It's over.
That was amazing technique when he took his back. He posted both hands, loosened his legs. So when Prangley spun over to his belly, Gracie's legs were loose enough. He just spun himself. He let Gracie go onto his back, basically. It's a really, really smart move by Gracie.
Well, grappling skill shown. And let's go up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have the time of 4 minutes, 19 seconds of round number 1. A rear naked choke ends this contest as the fighter taps out. He is the winner by way of submission and still undefeated, Roger Gracie.
Roger Gracie improves to 4-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. Your 3rd consecutive win via rear naked choke. Talk about your performance tonight.
I think everything happened as planned, you know. I know he's heavy-handed. I know I had the reach on my favor, so I played with the jab. I knew he was going to be a bit frustrated. He was going to come in hard. That was I planned to shoot him, you know, and happened exactly like that.
What is it like to represent the first family of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Gracie, in modern MMA?
I think only who is inside the family know what it is, you know. It's, people say about pressure. Yeah, the Gracie name is heavy. Doesn't care, you know. When you fight, when you got your family behind you, it's another wave pushing you forward, you know.
Let's hear it one more time, San Jose, for your winner, the undefeated Roger Gracie. Now back to cage side.
You know, the thing that stands out a lot to me is percentage of strikes landed by Gracie, 62%.
Right.
1 takedown attempt, got the takedown. 1 submission attempt, and finished it.
And that's all he needed.
that's a bad boy.
I was very, very impressed with, just like I was saying, the comfort of Gracie on the stand-up. And they're really, really known for grappling. That's a given. They created the grappling world. But just to be able to push that shoulder forward and just comfortably throw those shots. I didn't see that one coming.
Nice to see him becoming well-rounded. Look forward to watching him again.
He said he wants to be a professional MMA fighter, so here he goes. Let's throw it over to Mauro Ranallo.
All right, guys, the stars are out tonight here in San Jose, California. There's Strikeforce Women's 145-pound champion Cris Cyborg on hand to support her husband, who will be vying for the welterweight title in tonight's main event. Former Strikeforce lightweight champion and proud American Josh Thompson's in the house. There is current Strikeforce 155-pound kingpin El Nino Gilbert Melendez. Luke Rockhold, the submission specialist from San Jose. He's been on the shelf, but we look forward to seeing him very soon, perhaps in March, in Columbus, Ohio. Miesha Tate, the #1 contender for the Strikeforce Women's 135-pound championship. Daniel Cormier, the undefeated two-time Olympian who has helped Herschel Walker prepare for his sophomore mixed martial arts challenge tonight. And another stud from American Kickboxing Academy, UFC heavyweight champion Cain Velasquez. He has also helped Herschel Walker get ready for tonight's tilt. And you can't touch him, MC Hammer's in the house. And something tells me his favorite MMA technique is the hammer fist. All right, it's time to revisit tonight's text message poll question. What division would you like to see Strikeforce stage their next tournament? Text 1 for lightweight, text 2 for welterweight, text 3 for middleweight, and text 4 for light heavyweight. Send your response to us here at SHOWZ. That's 74699. Standard text messaging rates apply. And speaking of tournaments, the entire MMA world is abuzz with the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix set to begin February 12th in New Jersey. One of the great 8 joins me at this time, Fabricio Verdum. And Fabricio, what do you think about the tournament format?
The tournament, I beat for everybody, maybe.
Well, you have a lot of momentum coming into this tournament. You're the last man, of course, to defeat Fedor Emelianenko. You've also defeated the Strikeforce champion, Alistair Overeem. Do you feel you should be considered the favorite for this tournament?
Yeah, my feeling is good. I'm excited for the tournament. I'm training hard. I just wait the moment in April. I beat Overeem one more time.
All right, Fabricio Verdum will be facing Alistair Overeem on April 9th as part of the Strikeforce 8-man single elimination heavyweight Grand Prix. Of course, the tournament gets underway February 12th in New Jersey, live on Showtime. Scott Carson is a 40-year-old mixed martial artist who was introduced to the sport by MMA legend Chuck the Iceman Liddell. His 5 pro bouts include 4 victories via submission, and his wrestling background will pose a tough challenge to MMA newcomer Herschel Walker. At the age of 48, Walker remains a physical marvel, and he relishes the challenges that mixed martial arts provides. His personal and professional journey has been an inspiration.
I grew up with a speech impediment. I was a little bit overweight, and I didn't feel good about myself. I was fortunate to have 2 parents that said, you know, Herschel, you're not going to use excuses in life. I started doing push-ups and sit-ups. I started to get a little bit bigger, and I started going to the library to get books to read, to help my speech get a little bit better, and I became valedictorian in my class. That made me feel good about who I was.
Herschel breaks away, loses his shoe, 50 yards, the first time he touches it from offense.
A lot of the football did apply to my MMA. It's because of that stiff arm. They couldn't believe that that jab I had was just so incredible, and plus my quickness. In football, you move, and I think my quickness in boxing just to turn in those shoulders. And one of the most important things was keeping those hands in.
The elbows come away, we're weak, we're vulnerable.
I love the sport. I love not just the physical part of it, but I love the mental part. It's almost like a human chess match. These are some of the finest athletes in the world. I don't think I ever sweated like this in football. I wanted to come in here just like a rookie, starting all over again. I had to have an open mind to learn. Because if I'm going to be a fighter, I didn't want to just be a fighter. I want to be a great MMA fighter. I don't do anything just to waste my time.
Well, he is without a doubt one of the most amazing individuals I've ever had the pleasure of meeting, and win or lose tonight, the sport of MMA is very lucky to have an ambassador like Herschel Walker, who is more than ready for his next MMA challenge.
And now, please welcome to the cage, with a record of 4 wins, 1 loss, with all 4 wins coming by way of submission, from Costa Mesa, California, introducing Scott the Hornet Carson.
Scott Carson says it's an honor to step into the cage with one of America's most accomplished athletes, but he's not starstruck. He knows he's been afforded an opportunity few get, a chance to compete on national television, and he is looking to make the most of it. Patty also wants to prove to the notorious keyboard warriors that he's more than just cannon fodder for Walker.
Absolutely, and I think he's got a little bit of experience, obviously, on Walker, but this is a chance of a lifetime. What do you have to lose? Scott Carson's going to go out, I think, and just get after it.
And he's got a skill set to do it. He's got fights underneath him. He's got a great wrestling background. And, you know, his key to the cage on this one, he just needs to get on top. Herschel Walker hasn't been in there enough to know how to block these holds, to transition effectively. He doesn't know how to conserve that energy. This is only his second fight. If he gets on top, Carson, you got a chance.
Used to be a day trader, taking time off to concentrate on his MMA career. And again, a well-spoken individual who, again, knows what's at stake here. I mean, how many guys get to say they get to compete against someone like Herschel Walker in any endeavor?
Yeah, we talked about it. I mean, he gets to tell his kids and his grandkids, I fought an American icon.
Here is one of the world's great athletes making his way to the cage and looking for his second MMA victory, fighting out of San Jose by way of Wrightsville, Georgia. Introducing the famed football great and U.S. Olympian, please welcome the one and only Herschel Walker.
Tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of Herschel Walker's mixed martial arts debut against Greg Nudge. And while Walker won via 3rd-round TKO, the ultra competitor felt he was stiff in his stand-up and not as fast as he was in the gym. And from all the reports we've heard from guys like Daniel Cormier, Cain Velasquez, they tell us he's really improved his wrestling and jiu-jitsu, which of course should come in handy against a guy like Carson.
Yeah, he's going to need to be able to stop those takedowns tonight. Listen, Herschel Walker's a perfectionist. That's obvious. He's been the best at everything he's ever done, Frank.
Well, not only that, but he is a super athlete. So his key in this fight, just push the pace. I don't think Carson's ready to run that race. I don't think he's got enough steam into him to match up with an athlete like this. We know he's been training at AKA. We know he's training with the best in the world. If he goes out there and floors it, I think he's going to break Carson.
Herschel Walker at 48 still runs a sub 4.440. A man who still does a minimum of 750 push-ups a day. A man who still does 2,000 sit-ups a day. A guy who eats one meal, usually a soup and salad late at night. And in my Italian household, a soup and salad is considered a light snack before the appetizer.
Yeah.
Let's go to the tail of the tape for this heavyweight contest.
As Morrow said, you know, it's Herschel Walker at 48 years old. Frank, we got some time to get in that good of shape by the time we're 48.
Got to start working.
He's got a 2-inch reach advantage over Carson. I think he might use it, using those jabs. He likes the jab.
All right, fans, here we go. Strikeforce and Showtime present heavyweights in the cage. 3 5-minute rounds. Our referee in charge, Dan Stell.
Walker in the red gloves. Carson in the blue gloves, a little anxious to get things started, and why not? And Walker already getting into the zone, and he strikes and nails Carson immediately.
Nice.
Said that he wanted to showcase more of his stand-up skills.
Well, Carson kicked him in the head, and he did not like that. Herschel got mad.
Carson even gave him the look to the leg before he threw it high. It was nice.
His head trainer at American Kickboxing Academy, Javier Mendez, told us that if Herschel Walker would have started MMA in his 20s, he would have been an all-time great. You can say it's hyperbole, but he also said that Cain Velasquez would become a champion, and he has.
Well, he's going for a leg lock position right here. Carson's wrapped it up, but he sort of left himself vulnerable because he didn't get around the leg.
And Walker has his back, delivering uppercuts underneath the armpit.
You know, I think Herschel finally said, you know what, I don't like where my leg's at. He wasn't worried at first, and then it dawned on him, I don't want to be there. And he just horsed his hips back and ripped his leg out.
Say what you will. Oh, wow! And a takedown by Walker. Thought he was going to pull off a Josh Barnett Japanese-style suplex there. Carl Gotch.
It's a key lock by Carson. Looks like he's locking something up and trying to get that. Let's see if he can pull it off.
That's a pretty advanced move. I know that Herschel's probably seen it, but had not had a lot of experience with it.
All 4 of Carson's wins have come via submission. His last fight, he lost via form of knockout after taking off nearly a decade. Man introduced to the sport by the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. And right now, Herschel Walker, very patient, delivering knees from the side.
These hurt. Carson's taking a lot of damage here to his thigh. This is not a good position to be stalling in. He should turn over and face him or guard up or something.
Well, I think he's just thinking, you know, I'm covering myself up nice. I'm not taking a lot of punishment. I'm going to play it out, let Herschel maybe punch himself out a little bit. Carson probably realizes how strong Herschel is. He wants him to wear himself out a little bit, maybe.
Walker has done more than most to win over the critics that still exist. Needless to say, 2011, he has become one of the best ambassadors the sport has ever seen. The mouthpiece is now out. And Walker continues to pummel away on an overmatched Scott Carson, who is turtling up.
Yeah, Carson at some points needs to commit and stand up, get up out of there, and start fighting back.
Yeah, or even roll through like in a monkey roll or something and try that leg attack again, because he was almost in leg position, but this is just not good. He's got no defense or no offense, except for to stay there.
There's some hammer fists. He's got to be careful. Can't attack the back of the head. Continues. And Carson.
There's a monkey roll.
Now on his back, looking perhaps to go for the arm. Walker backs up.
Mouthpiece went through the cage, out on the deck. His corner man grabbed the mouthpiece.
And Walker jacks his jaw with the left hand. The referee steps in. Herschel Walker improves to 2-0 as a mixed martial artist.
Oh, he is fired up. Herschel Walker is fired up.
Don't tell me that Herschel Walker is not taking mixed martial arts seriously. He is absolutely jacked and very pumped up about his performance here tonight. Taking care of Scott Carson via first round TKO.
He just out-muscled him the entire time. He dominated him and dropped him with one punch and then mauled him.
I can't wait to ask him if he made him mad with that kick, because it looked like Herschel was mad and he just said, oh, now it's on.
Well, even if he wasn't mad, he still punched hard.
Him. He got started real quick. Pushing that pace is what I thought he should be doing. Came in, poised, ready to throw, and boom, he let him go. Good clipping left that sent Carson down. Right on him, too. Pushing that pace, and he almost got caught punching a little too much here. A little bit later, he ends up getting that back position, beating on him. I thought he was going to butterfly him and send him some air points right here, but a good clean takedown, just muscling him, you're right, muscling him out, Pat, putting him in position, using him at athleticism just to grind him down and beat him out.
Imagine if Herschel Walker started grappling and boxing when he was young, what he would have done in this sport. Just mauling Carson here.
And the end here, it's just short shots. Carson trapped in the cage, nowhere to go. He's already been hurt, and this is Herschel Walker. My man.
Not a bad physique for 48 years old, huh?
I gotta go work out, man. And let's take it up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a time of 3 minutes, 13 seconds in round number 1, our referee in charge, Dan Stell, stops the contest due to strikes. He is the winner by way of technical knockout and still undefeated, Herschel Walker.
Herschel Walker, congratulations. Now 2-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. I know you're a perfectionist and ultra competitor. You said you weren't that happy with your debut. Talk a bit about your performance tonight.
Well, first of all, let me thank the Lord Jesus Christ and thank my AK chain gang, because we can get it on the AKA. But you know, I was okay. I took a kick where I think I would get a little bit too excited. And when you're in an MMA fight, you shouldn't take a kick like that.
What is going through your mind? You even at cage side, Frank and Pat and I were going, this guy's in the zone. What is going through your mind when you step into this cage?
Well, one thing that Javier told me is to be on offense. And that's what I've been saying. I got to be on offense. Being a young MMA fighter, I got to control what I'm doing in the cage.
Now, something tells me you're probably going to stick with MMA instead of trying to make a comeback on the gridiron. Is that the case?
No, that is the case. MMA is my love. I love MMA. All my guys are AK. You know, those are my family. So I love it. I love you guys.
And I know somebody else you love is your 11-year-old son, Christian. We found out that today he won 4 medals at a gymnastics tournament. So a great day all around for the Walker family.
No, it was a wonderful day. And I got to thank Scott Carson because of Christian, I wanted to get out there and get it on. He had 4 gold medals, and let me tell you what, Scott, thank you. But I want to thank all you guys, Showtime, Strikeforce, for giving me this chance.
Let's hear it one more time for Herschel Walker. Back to cage side.
The Emmy Awarding Inside the NFL has 2 episodes remaining for this season. Wednesdays at 9 p.m. Join James Brown, Chris Collingsworth, Phil Simms, and Warren Sapp as they get set for Super Bowl 45.
Herschel Walker was featured in this week's Inside NFL to discuss his transition from football to MMA. Chris Collingsworth came out of the segment saying, I got hurt shaking hands with some dude the other day, and Walker's doing this MMA stuff. Are you kidding me?
Herschel Walker's insane, man. Inside the NFL is taking the show down to Dallas next week for Super Bowl between the Green Bay Packers and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pat, who are you picking in the big game? Let's move to CompuStrike here.
Walker obviously stayed very busy, very high percentage, 69%, 80% standing up, and on the ground just mauling him. 1 takedown attempt and 1 takedown completed. He's on his game.
Well, something tells me, guys, that if Herschel Walker was a few years younger, maybe he might be a participant in the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix tournament. And speaking of tournaments, let's revisit tonight's text message poll question. What division would you like to see Strikeforce stage its next tournament? Text 1 for lightweight, text 2 for welterweight, text 3 for middleweight, text 4 for light heavyweight. Send your response to us here at SHOWZ. That's 74699.
I would love to see the lightweights. Hopefully people vote for that. A lot of hammers worldwide in that want to get in it. Kawajiri from over in Japan, Melendez, Thompson, Cavalcante.
Yeah, Cavalcante.
I mean, there's a bunch of hammers.
That's just because he used to be a lightweight. I'm pulling for the middleweights. I want to see Kung Lee back after doing some superstar kicks, and I want to see Hendo drop down and knock Kung Lee out and get him back for me.
The lightweights get the work done, Frank.
Well, it's because they're smaller.
Robbie Lawler's fistic fireworks have already earned him championship glory. Pound for pound, he may be the most devastating puncher in the sport. Jacare Souza's striking continues to improve, but his bread and butter remains his stellar ground game. 10 of his 13 victories have come via submission. This middleweight title tilt may just come down to who can put the mixed in mixed martial arts. Making it look oh so easy. Remember the name, Jacare.
Serious ground and pound. Can you say shocking? Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the cage the challenger with a record of 18 wins, 6 losses, and 1 draw, with 15 knockouts to his credit. Here is the hard-hitting former world champion, now fighting out of Gilbert, Arizona, introducing Ruthless Robbie Lawler.
Robbie Lawler re-upped with Strikeforce after bookending his 2010 campaign with highlight reel knockouts of Melvin Manhoef and Matt Lindland. And to prepare for his title shot, he trained at the Power MMA and Fitness Gym in Gilbert, Arizona, where he sharpened his wrestling skills with some studs like C.B. Dalloway, Aaron Simpson, Ryan Bader. Pat, you know Lawler better than anyone. Why do you think he made that move at this time?
Well, he needed the bigger bodies. He needed the great wrestlers, the big All-American wrestlers to deal with. And you know what? Robbie is, from what I hear, doing quite well with a lot of former national champion Division I wrestlers. They're having a fit getting him off his feet. I think anybody's going to.
Pat, you talked about sparring with him, and you said nobody wants to spar with him more. Tell me about that.
No, he hits too hard. People do not want to get hit by him. But here tonight, the key for him is keep his back off the cage, control the center of the ring. That will enable him to be able to stop the takedowns from Jacare.
Robbie Lawler, who has worked with Matt Hughes, of course, at the Hit Squad, a man who started his career with Milicic Fighting Systems in Bettendorf. We talked about him being a champion in other organizations, but he is looking to become the Strikeforce middleweight champion here tonight against the ultra slick submission specialist from Brazil.
And now the champion, 13 wins, 2 losses, and 1 no contest, with 10 of his wins coming by way of submission. Introducing the dynamic 5-time Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion from Rio de Janeiro, here is the Strikeforce middleweight champion of the world, Jacare Souza.
Jacare Souza is a perfect 3-0 in Strikeforce, and in his last outing in August of last year, he defeated American military hero Tim Kennedy to win the Strikeforce middleweight championship one day after his wife Larissa gave birth to their first child, son Enzo, for a guy who grew up in abject poverty in the notorious slums known as the favelas in Brazil. Now a family man, a proud father, and the champion. Here's a guy who is living the American dream.
Absolutely. It's a beautiful thing when you can come to another country and become a star, and that's what he's done. He's an amazing athlete. That's what makes him different than a lot of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champions and black belts. He's an explosive guy. That's why he's able to learn the striking so well. What's really important for him tonight, though, is he has got to be able to get the takedowns on Lawler. He does not want to trade with Lawler, but he needs to set up his takedowns with his punches, and that's the only time he wants to punch with Lawler.
He discovered Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the age of 17. He's both a BJJ and a judo black belt. Jacare, of course, Portuguese for alligator. His first gym had an alligator as a logo. And due to the fact that he has that strong grip, well, hey, if it fits, why not? Let's now go to the tail of the tape for this Strikeforce middleweight championship bout.
Rob Lawler, 3 years younger, a little shorter, barely. About the same weight at weigh-in time, reach, basically carbon copies of each other, Frank, except for the beard.
Oh, I knew the beard was coming.
At this time, we want to say a special shout out to all the men and women serving around the world watching tonight's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. God bless each and every one of you, and thank you for all that you do.
All right, fans, here we go as Strikeforce and Showtime present the Strikeforce Middleweight World Championship, scheduled 5 5-minute rounds. Introducing our referee in charge of this bout, Big John McCarthy.
Guys, get this thing out. Get it out. Get the sign out. Sign out, get down. Sign out. Probably go to your corner. Are we ready? You ready?
The two touch gloves, the champion in the red gloves, the challenger in the blue. They share 3 common opponents. Both of them have defeated Joey Villasenor and Matt Lindland in the past. While Jacare is 1-0 with 1 no contest over Jason Miller, while Lawler is 0-1 against Mayhem.
A lot of movement out of Lawler early on. He's circling into the right hand of Souza, maybe hoping Souza will throw that right hand, get out of the way of it, and then come back into his counters. He's trying to bait him probably.
Souza sharpening his striking skills under the tutelage of some of the best strikers in the sport. Anderson Silva, Junior Dos Santos.
There's the kicks we expected from Souza.
Nervous energy coursing through the veins of the southpaw challenger Lawler.
And it's getting me over here too. Lawler is just coiled up. I've never seen him so tight and just moving.
Launches an attack on Souza, clinches. Souza pins Lawler against the fence.
Showing a lot of power there, Souza, pushing Lawler back against the cage.
Wow. And Souza with the takedown on Lawler. If there is one area where Lawler is suspect, it is the submissions. Majority of his losses have come via submission. Wow. And this is not a place he wants to be against a guy with the credentials of Jacare Souza.
And
inside control.
Remember, we talked about Lawler not having his back against the cage because we felt that was one of the only ways that Souza was going to take him down. Souza put him against the cage. Lawler couldn't get his hips back. Souza gets the takedown.
Jacare just covering him like a blanket. Look how tight he is to him. He is not going to let him up.
He's hunting that arm of Lawler.
Picking that elbow up.
Far side,
there's a wrist grip.
Now moving momentarily the north-south position, controlling Lawler very well.
Lawler's trying to bury that arm to make sure he can get it out of there if he needs to.
Souza now switches over to the other side. Now in north-south position, Lawler needs to buck and roll, needs to explode those hips, but easier said than done against Jacare Souza. And really, Pat, this is not where Robbie Lawler wanted to be at this stage of the fight.
No, you know, and Jacare Souza, you know, by fight time, what is he, 195, 200 pounds right now, but trust me, he feels like a refrigerator on your chest. Guys that are great jiu-jitsu guys know how to make you carry their weight, press down. It is not fun to be there.
Midway through the first round.
Now, Robbie told me there's no way Jacare is getting me down. How do you think he's thinking now? What do you think's going through his head now?
Well, he's doing a pretty good job so far of...
the key is not to panic.
Yeah.
Watch out for the guillotine right here.
And that's how he succumbed to Jake Shields.
He's going to try and hit it. Lawler, good job on hand control, got out of there.
And Lawler able to separate back up on his feet, so he survives his first test. Right hand from Souza. Lawler with the tie clinch and a knee strike. Souza very happy to engage Lawler in a stand-up, got jacked with that knee, and I think Souza's hurt. Head kick from Lawler. Souza's on roller skates. Wow. Lawler going in for the kill. Robbie Lawler has Souza on his back.
Well, we got to be careful here. Don't get greedy. Don't leave an arm inside. He's going to end up like Fedor.
I guarantee Matt Hughes is freaking out in the corner going, why did you follow him to the ground?
And that's exactly what Fedor did against Fabricio Verdum, and we know how that ended up. But right now, Jacare Souza is given an opportunity to clear out the cobwebs, but there was no doubt that he tasted Robbie Lawler's power, and he did not like it.
Lawler has got to posture up. He cannot allow Jacare to control his arms like he's doing. He has got to sit straight up and get out. Get up.
And Jacare's feet control, and the way he uses his feet are so fantastic. You see him stretching the legs of Lawler out, breaking his base down, shooting out of the way.
That's a great point, and pulling him back down to his, so they're chest to chest so he can walk his legs up.
Grabbed the fence. That's illegal, and he is being admonished now by Big John McCarthy. Final minute of the opening round. Jacare, of course, with a sterling guard game, known for the X-guard, like Marcelo Garcia. Just very flexible and fluid, and Lawler, like you say, Pat, he has to posture up. He has to get out of this position.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't want to hang out on the ground with a guy like Jacare.
Final 30 seconds of the opening round. It's scheduled for 5 5-minute rounds for the Strikeforce Middleweight Championship, and referee Big John McCarthy may be giving Robbie Lawler a bit of a favor there, standing him up.
Well, there wasn't a whole lot going on, so it was a decent stand-up, I think.
And there's a body kick from Lawler, the liver kick. A shout-out to El Wapo Boss Roon for that one. Lawler sprawls. Final 10 seconds. It's been a competitive back-and-forth contest to kick off the Strikeforce Middleweight Championship.
He learned a lot from that Shields fight, because the moment Jacare got up on his head, you saw him throw that shoulder forward and get out of there. He stayed in range to punch, but he did not let him pull on his head. That's how Robbie got caught. This is all about power. Look at that flying knee. He was coming for it, and that short hooking right hand stunned Jacare right there. Good on you to follow him up. Another one right there. Ooh, those shots, they weren't solid, but they were grazing him and knocking him around. Jacare was in a lot of trouble right there. I'm really surprised that Lawler jumped on him. And at the end of the round, Lawler pushing him back. That uppercut, oh, about shaved his eyebrows with that.
Yeah, we talked about the uppercuts, Frank, and I tell you what, you said grazing punches from Lawler. Grazing punches from Lawler are like getting hit with baseball bats.
There was a point in that opening round where the canvas turned into a sheet of ice for the Brazilian champion, and I doubt if he's ever seen the white stuff where he's from in South America, but he survived, as did Robbie. Lawler survived, and we are set for round number 2. Luke Rockhold watching with vested interest, of course. He is also in middleweight on the Strikeforce roster, just chomping at the bit to get back inside the cage.
Oh, different feeling from Robbie now.
When they stood up after they were on there.
Massive welt over his right eye. On the forehead there, Robbie Lawler.
I think it's a scrape from the glove. That's what it looks like.
Is that a kick from Lawler?
Robbie throws them every once in a while. Got to get off the cage here.
Lawler again tries to sprawl. Souza's power pins him along the fence. Now looks for the takedown, scoops him up and drops Lawler to the canvas, but Lawler has his back up along the fence.
Nice bounce off the cage. That little Randy
Butterfly
action.
hooks.
Souza working his way up to mount.
Wow, full mount now by Souza. Lawler not panicking. It's interesting, we talked about Lawler being difficult to be taken down in practice by some NCAA Division I wrestling studs, but it's a whole new ball game when you're in the mixed martial arts cage, and so far Jacare has been able to take him down a couple of times.
Yeah, it's obviously impossible to get your hips back away from your opponent when you're stuck against the cage. That's why it's so important to stay off it when you're against a guy that wants to put you on your back.
Jacare is doing the right thing by not stepping backwards. I mean, he's stepping backwards when he's getting hit, but the rest of the time, he's stepping forward trying to get this thing done.
Absolutely.
That's what's keeping him in shot for that takedown.
He's putting the pressure on Lawler here with ground and pound. You know, if I'm Lawler, I'm either going to try and get up. There's the arm triangle. Wow.
Souza's looking for the arm triangle choke. Immediately lets go, though, and Lawler stripping his hips.
Very sneaky by Jacare, and
nice
heads
pass
up by Lawler to stop it.
Souza into cross-side position. He found himself in this position in the opening round. Lawler was able to get back up to his feet. The veteran now looking to use the cage to...
Well, this for grappling, I like this position to hold people down. This one's a good one for me. How about you, Pat?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it definitely makes the bottom guy nervous. You can take the arms, you can go to chokes. There's a lot of things you can do.
Stay on his chest, stay up near his head. That's what Robbie's got to avoid. He's got to get him off his chest.
We have passed the midway point of round number 2. The Strikeforce middleweight champion, Jacare Souza, inside control, dropping a right straight to the face of ruthless Robbie Lawler.
And Rob smiled.
Probably means he was hurt. And you're right, those are lacerations on the side of Lawler's forehead. And Souza continues to control. He's very content and now beginning to get busier with his striking offense.
Robbie needs to get himself moving. Got to get the hips moving, got to get up.
Well, even if he's not getting damaged, he looks like he's being controlled and dominated.
Well, and without a doubt, Jacare is winning this round, scoring points and killing the clock.
He is being controlled and dominated. That's the point. And Lawler definitely has to find a way. And again, against Jacare Souza, this was not where they wanted to be, and you're right, it's going to be interesting to say what the corner, if he's able to escape this round. Souza looking to his corner from some advice, and now looking to go to mount. Nicely done by Lawler, but he's now getting tagged with some strikes from Jacare. And again passes guard into side control.
Souza's a buzzsaw on the ground, man. This guy is amazing.
check in with his corner there, get a time check.
Minute left. Here's the leg lock.
Uh-oh. Wow.
There it is.
Final minute of the second round, and it's all Jacare Souza. Now on his feet, Lawler looking to use his feet to keep Jacare away. Now,
armbar.
Giving up his back. Jacare going for the arm.
Wow.
Looking for the armbar.
Lawler got it out.
Able to defend.
Wow.
What a great exchange of techniques. Robbie Lawler running down the submission chains.
Armbar
and
again.
Going for that armbar. Is Jacare Souza final
flip over. He's got to flip over. Keep running.
Beautiful.
There we go.
And another escape by Robbie Lawler, much to the delight of this crowd here in San Jose. He avoids a couple of submission attempts from the submission magician, Jacare Souza. But he'll have to send a message to the judges in the final 10 seconds because this round has belonged to the Strikeforce middleweight champion.
Big breath from Lawler, but Jacare still laying on the canvas and smiling. Well, submission holds with the name of the game. Jacare knows he's got to go for a hold here. He's in great position. Once he got Robbie to his side, boom, you're vulnerable for the armbar. He rolled right over the top of it and darn near got it right there. But Robbie able to turn his elbow and keep the arm from being straight, and then it became a scramble for position once again. Jacare is winning that game every time, though, keeping that side mount and the top position. And here's Robbie defending against that arm. He flipped himself. He did a cartwheel over to get himself out and get that arm from out of bad position. Nice move. Robbie is flowing, man.
Been watching some Sakuraba tapes.
High-level escape against a high-level black belt. That was sweet on Lawler's part, too. I mean, these guys are going at it. Good stuff.
But here's a statistic that Robbie Lawler definitely wants to change. Thus far, 7 minutes and 21 seconds of this bout has been contested on the ground. Only 2 minutes and 39 seconds in the stand-up. That's where Lawler wants to keep this fight.
The equivalent of ball control in football, right, Morrow?
You better believe it.
Well, he's got to get back on that bicycle like it was before.
And there's the tie plum from Souza. Lawler with some body shots, but he's eating those knee strikes. Able to block some of them with his arms, doing a good job of turning into them, but now it's Souza going for the single leg.
Lawler's got to get wrist control here, power his leg out of that single. Yeah, he's got wrist control there. Cannot spend this round on his back, obviously. And Jacare obviously doesn't want to be on his feet.
Knee.
Souza changes levels. Lawler tries to defend, but Souza able again to secure the top position. Lawler frustrated, nodding his head.
Pat, how come when Jacare shoots in, he leaves his head in the middle between his legs like that, Lawler's legs?
Well, a lot of times I think guys are defending against chokes, but, you know, also it gives him a lot of power just to lock his hands, gives him more reach to lock his hands, I think, and then he's able to pull Lawler's legs out from underneath him.
I like how Lawler just turns his body sideways or his forearm a little bit and just sort of stops that forward progress.
Knee right to the ribcage by Souza. Lawler gets back to his feet, but he has to be careful. Oh, looking for the sweep. Nicely done by Souza. Now he's got Lawler's back, and this could be dangerous. Gets the one hook in, gets the other hook in. And Lawler now has to try to defend the Mataleon, the rear naked choke.
Figure four on the body.
Another body triangle, and that could spell the beginning of the end.
Really bad positioning for Robbie Lawler. He's got to keep that chin down. He's got to get his back to the mat. He cannot hang out here. This is a ticking time bomb.
2 of Souza's 10 submission wins have come via rear naked choke. Make it 3. Jacare Souza retains the Strikeforce middleweight championship via 11th career submission. And there is the alligator. was able to soften Robbie Lawler, was able to take him down, wear him down, and at the precise moment was able to secure the body triangle and vanquish Robbie Lawler via third round submission, and submissions remain ruthless Robbie Lawler's Achilles heel.
Souza did a good job imposing his will, his game plan. Lawler had to keep his back off the cage, did not do that. Every time Lawler's back was on the cage, he got taken down, Frank.
And he had a moment. He had a moment when he had him hurt. When Jacare was hurt. Here he is finishing the choke. He had like a short choke there. He's looking for position. He's looking for position. And you saw him right there. Sink it all the way under. And that thing is deep. You saw Robbie go, yeah, I'm good. I'm done.
Yeah. But you know, when he had the short choke, had his hands locked, he felt his hand was underneath the chin securely enough to where then he could move on to the Monteleone or the rear choke and finish it. And this guy's good, man.
Great patience. Great finishing holds. Robbie needs a little bit more patience on that stand-up game.
Yep, and Jacare showed a lot of heart coming back from getting blistered in the first round and getting dropped.
Wow, just stand-up versus ground time on the CompuStrike pad. I mean,
yeah, the time, like we talked about, ball control in football, you know, majority of the fight was spent on the ground. That's where Souza wanted to be. That's why he won.
I really thought Robbie Lawler was going to beat them. Oh. And let's take it up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the 2-minute mark of round number 3, the fighter taps out. A rear naked choke ends this contest. He is the winner by way of submission and still the Strikeforce World Middleweight Champion, Jacare Souza.
They say in order to be considered a full-blown champion, you need to defend the title for the first time. And Jacare Souza, you were able to do just that tonight in typical Jacare fashion, recording your 11th win via submission, 3rd via rear naked choke. Gilberto joins us as the translator. Did everything go according to plan tonight?
Jacare, parabéns. Você lutou bem, usou o jiu-jitsu, ganhou. Você esperava rolar esse tempo todo de luta? Como é que foi que sente a defesa desse cinturão do título?
My English is so bad. I'm so sorry, everybody, but I'm going to try. I come to prepare for everything. I have great coach, great friends. I want to say training partners. I feel great now.
What about the next challenge? Obviously, he's the champion. They have to come for him. Are there any opponents that he has on his radar that he would like to face?
Você é campeão. Quem é o teu próximo oponente? Ele sabe que o Strikeforce vai mandar para você, mas quem você quer lutar que tá aí?
Quero lutar com quem tiver credenciado. E Strikeforce, por favor, não demore me colocar para lutar de novo. Eu amo fazer isso e quero voltar aqui de novo.
Whoever Strikeforce bring to him, you fight. You can't wait to fight again. Strikeforce, make that happen ASAP.
All right, let's hear it for the Strikeforce middleweight champion, Ronaldo Jacare Souza. Now back to cage side.
Well, Pat, can we call that an upset? I mean, he's the champion. I mean, did you think that Lawler was going to win?
I thought Lawler had a very good chance to win, given his punching power and athleticism. But it came down to game plans. Souza, obviously also a great athlete, took him down. He got 4 out of his 6 takedowns. That's something that's key. And, you know, you just can't allow guys to get the majority of the takedowns they want when they want to put you on the back. Submission attempts, you know, 3 of them got mount several times, which is shown in the dominant positions. This kid did what he had to do to win. He performed incredibly well. That's why he is the champion, Frank.
Controlled the game and finished him off. That is Jacare. And let's go to Mo.
All right, guys, well, obviously, with Jacare Souza retaining the Strikeforce middleweight title, we're almost set for the main event, but of course, we need to revisit tonight's text message poll question. What division would you like to see Strikeforce stage its next tournament? Text 1 for lightweight, text 2 for welterweight, text 3 for middleweight, and text 4 for light heavyweight. Send your response to us here at SHOWZ. That's 74699. Standard text messaging rates apply. And speaking of tournaments, coming next month, the heavyweight planets of mixed martial arts will align for a winner-take-all extravaganza. The Strikeforce 8-man single elimination heavyweight tournament gets underway Saturday, February 12th at the Izod Center in East Rutherford, New Jersey, with 2 quarterfinal matchups featuring the return of the last emperor, Fedor Emelianenko, as he battles Bigfoot Antonio Silva. Former UFC heavyweight champion Andrei Arlovsky squares off with the last man to defeat Strikeforce heavyweight champion Sergey Karatanov. The opening round of the tournament concludes April 9th when Overeem looks to avenge a 2006 submission defeat against the first man to legitimately defeat Fedor, Fabricio Verdum, and former Strikeforce heavyweight title challenger Brett Rogers meets catch wrestling specialist Josh Barnett in the baby-faced assassin Strikeforce debut. And cage side is Fabricio Verdum, who enters the tournament on a high, as he, of course, is coming off the upset of 2010, submitting the last emperor, Fedor. Mauro Ranallo alongside Frank Shamrock and Pat Miletich. And guys, I gotta say, the buzz surrounding this tournament is palpable. A throwback to the early days of the sport. Of course, I've been fortunate enough to have called 2 of the best tournaments in mixed martial arts history back in my days with Pride Fighting Championships in Japan. Frank, let's start with you. What do you think of the tournament concept, and who do you think is gonna win it?
I love the tournament concept. It gives the fans a chance to really see someone take a chance out there. My favorites, Fedor Emelianenko and Overeem. Who's gonna win it? I'd put my money on Overeem.
Well, of course, if that matchup does materialize, it would be in the semifinals because they are on the same bracket. So a dream matchup could be a semifinal. Till Pat, who do you feel is the dark horse in the tournament and why?
Well, Mauro, I think there's a couple dark horses. Number 1, Karatanov. He's beaten Overeem and Verdum. He's a very dangerous Russian fighter. And then Josh Barnett. He's fallen off everybody's radar because he hasn't been active, but that guy is still very dangerous.
All right, we are getting ready for it. It is coming your way February 12th. It is the Strikeforce 8-man single elimination heavyweight Grand Prix. The Great 8 will battle. But right now, from the HP Pavilion in San Jose, California, we're all set for tonight's main event. Nick Diaz defends the Strikeforce welterweight title against Evangelista Cyborg. Here once again is Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Well, fans from San Jose, California, the time has come for the Strikeforce World Welterweight Championship. It's time for Diaz versus Cyborg.
We are in the midst of a classic. What a tremendous fight for the Strikeforce Welterweight Championship. Flying knee desperate. Drops gets him down. It's over. Cyborg wins his Strikeforce welterweight debut. Now, picking him apart with a jab. And then Sorowskis who takes the leather of Cyborg.
Tapped him out. Just like that.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the challenger to the cage, the Brazilian fighting machine, Evangelista Cyborg.
Evangelista Cyborg is hoping his 3rd crack at an MMA title will be the charm after coming short on 2 different occasions while competing as a light heavyweight for the defunct Cage Rage promotion in the United Kingdom. He earned tonight's title shot thanks to a first-round TKO triumph over Marius Sorowskis in Cyborg's 170-pound debut last June. In fact, he beat the Dream welterweight kingpin exactly 2 minutes quicker than Diaz did to become the first Strikeforce welterweight champion 1 year ago tomorrow.
Yeah, and this guy's got a lot of violent power. His kicks are horribly hard, throws very hard punches. He is mean. He looks mean. I mean, this boy's rough, Frank.
And the whole family's mean. The whole camp is mean. I mean, they're the nicest people in the world, but they can whoop some butt, man. I mean, come on. I can only imagine what their kids are going to be like. Are you kidding me? No, listen, seriously. But the key to the cage for Cyborg tonight, really, is kick the head. He's got to kick the head of Nick Diaz. He's got to get him out of that boxing stance. He's got to get him leaning back and doing all kinds of crazy things. Anything but standing there and throwing those machine gun punches over and over and over.
He wants to join the likes of Vanderlei Silva, Mauricio Shogun Hua, Anderson Silva, Murillo Ninja Hua, and of course his wife, Chris Cyborg, as champions who have been produced by the vaunted Shoot 'n' Box Academy in Brazil. Tonight is Cyborg's chance. He wants to join the likes of Vanderlei Silva, Mauricio Shogun Hua, Anderson Silva, Murillo Ninja Hua, and of course his wife, Chris Cyborg, as champions who have been produced by the vaunted Shoot 'n' Box Academy in Brazil. Tonight is Cyborg's chance. to make history along with his wife as the first married couple to ever simultaneously hold MMA championships.
Yeah,
I think in any sport.
Can you imagine that?
That's a lot of pressure. You got your camp with a ton of champions. Your wife's a champion. Everybody's a champion. You're a cast out if you don't win it.
Yeah, you don't want to go home a loser on that one.
Evangelista Cyborg Santos, a black belt in BJJ, and Luta Livre, a four-time Brazilian Muay Thai champion. And he will try to utilize those notorious and vicious Muay Thai techniques tonight against the champion.
And now, here is the champion and world-renowned Gracie Jiu-Jitsu black belt, introducing Nick Diaz.
Representing the 209 as a champion who is hard to define, the enigmatic Nick Diaz, someone who marches to the beat of his own drum, in his case, the bongos, but his skills inside the cage are world-class. Striking or submissions, this guy can do it all, and he outstruck pro boxer KJ Noons in his last title defense in what, Pat, I still contend was one of the best 5 rounds of pure striking I've seen in MMA.
Absolutely. Nick Diaz's boxing was always very good, but it got even better for that fight. Kid's amazing. Along with that, able to compete in triathlons. This guy is a stud.
Yeah, as an athlete, Nick Diaz is really in his prime, and he's really, I think, just catching his stride and figuring MMA out. He put a whooping on me when we did our thing, but here's what he's got to do to beat Cyborg. He's just got to avoid the power. I think that the power's going to be there for a round or two, but past that, if he keeps that game going, if he fights that super aggressive, beat you down style, Nick Diaz is going to finish off Cyborg and remain our champion.
As part of his new deal with Strikeforce, he is also able to participate in professional boxing, most likely at super middleweight. That fight is supposed to happen this year, most likely at 168 pounds. He is 1-0 as a pro pugilist. He has sparred with the likes of undefeated super middleweight champ Andre Ward. The question I have for you, Pat, does he want to turn this into a boxing contest against a guy with the power of Evangelista Cyborg?
He does if he can stay on the outside, but when you're on the outside, you're dealing with Cyborg's kicks at the same time, so that's a tough one to figure out.
All right, let's go to the tail of the tape for tonight's main event.
Nick Diaz is 6 years younger. He's definitely taller, considerably taller. Same weight at weigh-in time. Reach, surprisingly, goes to Cyborg.
I'd say Cyborg's a lot scarier.
I would say so, too.
Chris Cyborg, Evangelista's significant other. All of a sudden, the smile is gone. She knows, well, there it is. She knows she's on TV, but it's game time. She has the face as well. She's ready. And there's her title. She wants to hopefully add her husband's belt to the hardware. All right, let's go one more time to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the HP Pavilion as Strikeforce and Showtime present the featured bout of the evening, brought to you by Rockstar Energy Drink. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. Party like a rock star. Tonight's action is sanctioned by the California State Athletic Commission. The chairman is John Frierson, executive officer George Dodd. All right, fans, here we go with the main event of the evening. 5-minute round scheduled for the Strikeforce Welterweight Championship of the World. And now, ladies and gentlemen in attendance and MMA fans joining us around the world, live from San Jose, it's showtime! Introducing to you first, the challenger on my left, fighting out of the blue corner. Trained in Muay Thai and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, his record stands at 18 wins and 13 losses. From Rondonópolis, Mato Grosso, Brazil, please welcome the acclaimed Brazilian battler, introducing Evangelista Cyborg. And his opponent across the cage, the defending champion fighting out of the red corner. One of MMA's all-around standouts, versed in boxing and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. His record includes 23 wins, 7 losses, and 1 no contest, with 12 knockouts and 7 submissions to his credit. From Stockton, California, please welcome MMA's bad boy, tonight making the second defense of his title. Here is the Strikeforce World Welterweight Champion, introducing Nick Diaz. And our referee in charge now to give instructions, Josh Rosenthal.
Gentlemen. All right, gentlemen, beat over your instructions. I expect a clean fight. Obey my commands all times, defend yourselves all times. Touch gloves, go back, let's do this.
We are set for 5-minute rounds. The Strikeforce Welterweight Championship hangs in the balance. The champion, Nick Diaz, looking to extend his 8-fight win streak, while Evangelista Cyborg wants to join his wife as Strikeforce champion.
Gentlemen, you ready? You ready?
Let's fight! And we are underway. The champion in the red gloves, the challenger in the blue, and immediately Cyborg tests the waters with that high kick.
Diaz is talking to him.
Already.
Surprise, surprise. Diaz talks almost as much in the cage as he throws punches. The guy crashes CompuStrike. And if you look at it, over his past 11 bouts, he has thrown an average of 253 strikes per fight, landing an average of 128 or 51%. Think about that for a moment.
I can't. Nick Diaz punched me too much.
Hard. Good kick. Chanting Diaz. And there's another inside leg kick by the challenger, and that's what he wants to do. And Diaz saw it, that's what he would do. Try to chop down the champion with those leg kicks.
That's the key to taking Nick Diaz's base out from underneath him. Got to keep booting that lead leg.
And now Diaz getting busier, closing the distance, pinning Cyborg along the fence. If you have never seen the fight that Evangelista Cyborg had with Melvin Manhoff back in 2006 in the UK for Cage Rage, on YouTube it's already drawn nearly 1 million hits. It is a masterpiece of unbridled violence, and it's a peek inside the psyche of Evangelista Cyborg.
Nick landed a real stiff jab there that just pushed the head and everything back of Cyborg.
Nick has got to start defending those low kicks because, hey, we're not long into this fight. Not even 2 minutes into it, he's taken about 6 kicks to the leg.
And they are tenderizing his lead leg, and now Cyborg with the power 1-2 combination. Diaz steps in. Cyborg doing a very good job of maintaining those kicks, and another inside leg kick, and then mixing it up upstairs and backs up Diaz with that right hand.
Those are big kicks, and Diaz is trying to make a block now because they're really starting to hurt. He's lifting them up.
You can tell he's already being traumatized with those kicks and now coming forward.
But he just landed 3 jabs in a row right on the chin of Cyborg.
Nice job. He needs to keep Cyborg walking backwards.
Oh, and Cyborg stuck that straight right, and Diaz walked right through it.
Got to keep kickers going backwards so they can't kick effectively.
And Diaz nails him with the left. Now, all right, this is breaking down into the slugfest we thought it might be. And Diaz now attempting a kick of his own. We know that Cyborg told us we would show a different wrinkle, a controlled aggression. Oh, and there's another devastating inside leg kick.
Diaz has got to turn that knee into that kick and let him kick his knee.
We are seeing a different Cyborg. He's not the bull in the proverbial china shop, and he continues to chop away at Nick Diaz's lead leg.
Tell you what, Cyborg looks motivated, man. He has killing in his eyes.
Diaz said he would either win the fight or end up in hospital. And now Cyborg mixing it up with the body and going upstairs with a 1-2. Diaz taunting him and again gets tagged. And Diaz, I mean, he's got a tremendous chin, but how many of those shots can you take from the bigger Cyborg?
They're just standing right at the end of those punches.
And now Diaz has come in, and he's found the target. Uppercut, scraping the body of Cyborg. Right hand upstairs. Cyborg's in trouble now. right hand, starting to bloody up the nose of Cyborg. Desperately shoots that right hand. Now goes downstairs to the body. Cyborg trying to mix it up.
Cyborg's loading up with his punches, but Diaz can see it all coming. Getting out of the way, countering and rifling him.
Diaz continues to work the body as well, sapping away the power, the conditioning, testing the conditioning of Cyborg, who's been known to fade in later rounds. An electrifying opening 5 minutes. We're into the final 20 seconds.
Oh, Diaz has got his range now. He's holding and punching. He's got his range.
By Cyborg, and another one through the guard of Diaz. Final 10 seconds. We've seen nothing but punches and bunches, much to the delight of the crowd here in San Jose. And Chris Cyborg's face is definitely now taking on the view of a concerned spouse.
Kicks and punches by Cyborg. Erlen, he was doing a great job on that front leg, and even being pushed back, he was brawling and exchanging and landing those shots. He was doing really good, especially with that front leg kick. But the more he got pushed back, the more his energy ran out. That leg kick came less and less and less. Diaz finding that range, literally touching his head every single time. Short shots, followed by that straight left. Oh, that one hurt him. And this body work on the cage, followed by this hook. Bing! That's just money, baby. Diaz is boxing up a storm.
This boxing is something to admire.
Great composure by him.
Not surprisingly, all 5 minutes were contested in the stand-up, where both Cyborg and even Diaz, a Gracie black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, the guy could do it all. Round 2 underway. Cyborg landed 16 of 26 leg kicks in the opening round. Diaz landed 36 of 64 punches standing.
And he's taunting him again. He's telling him to hit me.
And again, Cyborg continues to sweep away at that lead leg. Diaz has to be careful. I really like the... now he's getting his head popped back like a pest dispenser in Cyborg. But guys, he is keeping to his game plan, working those inside leg kicks. And again...
that kick hurt.
He's working the shooter box style.
Diaz threw the kick. Cyborg countered, caught him on the back leg. The back leg kicks are the ones that hurt you. When you get kicked on your back leg, those are devastating.
And any of those kicks that go down, see how we whipped that kick around and brought it down? Oh, that hurts.
Diaz making him punch, making him gas himself out. Look at him, he's doing it on purpose.
Rope a dope. Diaz, of course, never at a loss when it comes to conditioning. This guy does triathlons when he's not training for mixed martial arts. He can go all night long, and he continues to pepper away with a jab. Good avoidance there by Cyborg. Head movement, counter right hand. What would you like to see Cyborg do as a follow-up to the leg kick, Pat?
You know, to be honest with you, the leg kick, the inside leg kick, when Diaz is in the middle of his combos, that will take his base out, make him fall forward, then Cyborg needs to go right away with his combos.
Couple of rear level trajectory elbows there by Cyborg, and another elbow. Now he's utilizing the elbow techniques he picked up at Shooter Box.
It's an elbow fight. And those elbows are extremely dangerous, that bone flying through your face like that.
Of course, elbows are legal in the stand-up here in Strikeforce, not legal on the ground to the head of a grounded opponent. And the crowd again with the chants of Diaz, the Stockton, California native, becoming a fan favorite here in San Jose.
Here comes Diaz again.
Cyborg trying to reach for the clinch. And again, attacking the inside of Diaz's lead leg. Another to the outside, follows it up with an overhand right. Diaz again connects with the 1-2. The southpaw putting on a striking clinic as only Nick Diaz can. 2 minutes, 23 seconds left in the second stanza. Oh, uppercut from Cyborg.
Cyborg's making it a brawl, but does he have the wind? Does he have the gas to maintain this style?
It seems that Diaz is beginning to find his target, but Cyborg not capitulating, wanting to stay in this fracas.
I think Diaz needs to pick up the pace. That's what gasses people. He's letting Cyborg rest in between all of this, and that doesn't play to his strength. He's a triathlete. He's got incredible endurance.
Diaz switching stances now, going back to southpaw.
Nice uppercut counter by Cyborg right there.
Knee from Cyborg. Looking for the collar tie, and Diaz just stays in the pocket. Very focused, very patient. Always has a great poker face, does Nick Diaz.
How many MMA guys, Frank, have you seen that will stay in your face like that while you're punching? Won't even take a step back. He'll just move his head, block with his arms, do whatever. Kid's got a hell of a chin, too.
Yeah, just one of them. It was Nick Diaz, and he was taunting me the whole time.
Well, he's doing the same thing now as he drops his hands, beginning to mark up the visage of Evangelista Cyborg. Getting some free facial tattoos courtesy of Nick Diaz. And Diaz again, but look at Cyborg. Resilient, looking for the tie clinch, and Diaz escapes. Final minute now.
Cyborg's doing good work with that brawling, but he's got to double up on that jab or do a combo and hit with that kick. That's how those kicks are landing, or wait until Diaz fires and then do that cut kick like you're caught in that front leg, Pat.
Yeah.
There's a spinning hook kick by Cyborg, and there is the first takedown of the fight. A trip takedown by Cyborg. He is also a BJJ black belt, but Diaz is a Gracie BJJ black belt, looking for the armbar underneath.
Got it.
The crowd anticipating it here. Final 15 seconds of the second round. Hammer fist to the body by Diaz. Looks for the armbar. It's over. Diaz retains the Strikeforce welterweight title.
Wow.
Make it 9 wins in a row. Diaz showcased his striking skills, and he put the cherry on top with an armbar submission win over a very game Evangelista Cyborg. And that is the 4th armbar win for Nick Diaz in his illustrious career. An emotional Chris Cyborg shedding some tears, and why not? Her husband put up a gallant effort but fell short, and Nick Diaz remains the top dog in the Strikeforce welterweight division.
To take and submit after you beat a guy up standing up and submit a guy that quickly on the ground, who's a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu also. He went for broke. He knew how much time was left and did it, Frank.
All I know is we've never seen an athlete like Nick Diaz who does everything. Triathlon, swimming, he's doing Xterra. I don't know about that leg. I don't know if he's going to run it with that leg. But he's trying to get out of this fight with no damage so he can go do Xterra, the world crazy marathon championship. This guy is a crazy athlete. But when he puts it together in the cage, he's phenomenal. He's flawless. Oh, here he is in just beautiful armbar position. And as soon as he flipped him over, you said it, Pat, he was weak. Here goes that leg. As soon as Cyborg goes over, he's just not in position to defend this anymore. He's in great armbar position. And as soon as that arm is straight, locked, done. I think he stretched his arm a little bit, Pat.
Yeah, he hit it hard right off the bat, Frank. And, you know, the thing that he did right away is he changed the angle right away. You can see he spun underneath Cyborg, came out the back door, hooks the shin bone, throws his legs over so he can put him on his back, and then boom, hits him in the belly a couple times, distract him, and then torques the arm loose. I think Cyborg was hoping to roll out of that armbar. Wasn't going to happen with Diaz.
Yeah, I think he was waiting for that timing, and the timing wasn't there. And you can see it on his face. Oh, man. Oh, and just Chris Cyborg's reaction is just, oh, man.
Yeah, I know I wouldn't want to watch my wife fight. How about you?
I made my wife sit there pregnant and watch me, so I don't know what's wrong with us.
Shows what kind of guy you are.
Oh, man. And let's take it up to Jimmy Lennon Jr.
Ladies and gentlemen, with a time of 4 minutes, 50 seconds in round number 2, an armbar ends this contest as the fighter taps out. He is the winner by way of submission. He is still the Strikeforce welterweight champion of the world, Nick Diaz.
Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz, congratulations, retaining the Strikeforce welterweight title. Were you at all surprised that Cyborg decided to take you down in that round?
No, I figured I'd put pressure. He's going to have to do something. You know, you want to take no more punches, he's going to have to take me down.
Heading into this fight, you seemed to showcase a new Nick Diaz. You had a lot of respect for Cyborg coming into this fight. Is this something we're going to see in the future? Because right now you are at the top of your game, 9 straight wins.
No, it's really just I respect the way he fights. You know, you don't play around. He comes out here and fought me, you know. He came out here to fight. You know, he doesn't try to play the game to win. He tries to come out here and get the knockout win and put on a show for you guys.
How would you rate your performance tonight? Obviously pleased with the win. Were you happy with the way everything turned out? Did it go according to plan?
No, not especially. I should have checked those kicks a little better. But I settled down and I started to, you know, started to feel it out and started to check the kicks. I think he was trying to put everything in those first 2 rounds. Hey, listen, I gotta give a shout out to my partners. You know, Gilbert Melendez and Jake Shields and Nathan Diaz. And I got Josh Thornburg. You guys are going to see him out here soon. Thanks for helping me in my training. And Lucas Camaza tonight, it didn't go his way, but he helped me with a little bit of sparring. I really appreciate that, too.
Anybody you want to face next? You're the champion, but is there anyone that you'd like to call out right now?
Hey, I fight for Strikeforce, you know. This is showtime, baby. I'll fight anybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, he is the Strikeforce welterweight champion, Nick Diaz. Back to Cageside.
Pat, is it too late to change his nickname to Showtime?
Yeah, I don't think he needs to. I don't think he needs to.
He's impressive, man. Let's take a look at the fight stats on this one. Obviously, Nick Diaz throwing a lot of punches.
Yeah, I mean, the percentage landed for the amount thrown, that's insane every time he fights. But Cyborg was quite busy also and threw a ton of kicks, threw a ton of kicks and was doing damage. Diaz talked about that. 2 for 2 on the ground strikes, not very long down there. But the submission attempt, 1 Frank, and 1 completed the fight for him.
All you need, 1 hole, game over.
Strikeforce welterweight champion Nick Diaz retaining the title, celebrating with his Team Cesar Gracie teammate, Strikeforce lightweight champion Gilbert Melendez. He's won 9 in a row, including successfully defending the welterweight crown on 2 occasions. We will wrap up tonight's proceedings in just a moment, but first, for over 25 years, Showtime has proudly staked its claim as America's #1 boxing network. From champions to challengers to rising stars, Showtime Sports consistently delivers knockout action. Our next installment of Showbox, The New Generation, returns Friday, February 4th with a triple header showcasing some of the sport's brightest prospects. Coming up Saturday, February 26th, Showtime Championship Boxing features a lightweight doubleheader. WBA champ Miguel Acosta against Brandon Rios and Antonio DeMarco against Reyes Sanchez. And coming up, 2 marquee events on Showtime pay-per-view. Saturday, March 12th, Miguel Cotto defends his WBA super welterweight title against Ricardo Mayorga. And coming on May 7th, it's boxing's biggest event of the year. The sport's biggest draw is coming to Showtime pay-per-view. Manny Pacquiao takes on 3-division world champion Sugar Shane Mosley. For more information on all of Showtime Sports' upcoming events, log on to sports.show.com. Plus, you can fan us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. All right, let's take a look again at the results of tonight's text message poll question. Earlier tonight, we asked, what division would you like to see Strikeforce stage its next tournament? Well, here are the results. 36% chose middleweight. just like you wanted to see happen, Frank. Why do you think they want the middleweight tournament?
I just think there's more people at middleweight, average-sized guys at middleweight. You know, I just think that the average-sized man is at middleweight, so it's a more common weight to grab onto and try to support.
What about you, Pat?
You know, middleweights have a lot of speed. They have a lot of power. They have the combination of everything. Boys that hit hard and move quick.
Well, the middleweights have one man to fear, and that's Jacare Souza. What a performance tonight against ruthless Robbie Lawler. And as we get ready for the heavyweight tournament, the World Grand Prix begins next month here on Showtime. For more on all Showtime sports telecasts, including exclusive behind-the-scenes video and photo galleries, log on to our website, sports.show.com. Also, you can fan us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter for real-time news and information. It's all right there at sports.show.com. Time now to recap tonight's action. Roger Gracie submitted Trevor Prangley via rear naked choke to improve to 4-0 in his embryonic mixed martial arts career. Even in a short fight, Herschel Walker showed a range of MMA skills in defeating Scott Carson by TKO 313 into the opening stanza. The Uber athlete is now 2-0 as a mixed martial artist. Jacare Souza wore down Robbie Lawler, and a rear naked choke finished him off 2 minutes into the third round as the Alligator retained his Strikeforce middleweight championship. And then in the main event, Nick Diaz showed his striking skills and then showcased his superlative submission skills as he vanquishes Evangelista Cyborg with 10 seconds left in round 2 via armbar to retain the Strikeforce welterweight crown. For my broadcast partners, Frank Shamrock, Pat Miletich, and our entire Showtime crew, I'm Mauro Ranallo saying so long from San Jose, California.